Listen to how Stride Piano can transform the sound of a lead sheet. First, here's Autumn Leaves just with the melody and root position, left-hand chords. Now I'm going to use a stride pattern in my left hand and some improvisation in my right hand. In this video, I'm going to break down that basic left-hand pattern into 3 steps, and along the way give you an introduction to the wonderful world of stride piano. One of the most common questions I get from students is how they can better play lead sheets. So if you're not familiar, a lead sheet is the style of notation I showed on screen. You see the melody of a song with chord symbols written above. And this is the most popular style of notation for jazz standards. Now, what's beautiful about lead sheets is the same thing that makes them so challenging for students. So much is left up to you. So you can modify the way that you play a piece of music from a lead sheet depending on the musical situation and on the style you want to play. So if you are playing with a whole band, like bass, drums, guitar, a melody instrument, what you will do at the piano from a lead sheet is totally different than what you might do if you're playing alone at the piano, which we call solo piano. And if you are playing solo piano, the first thing you need to decide is what kind of style you want to play in. So for any swing tune, stride piano is a great kind of final destination to have in mind. Because when you play stride piano, you are more or less recreating the sound of a full jazz band, a full jazz rhythm section, just with your left hand. So let's look at what I mean. We're going to give different beats of the measure to different instruments. And first, we're going to play what we call a 2-feel bass line. That means we're playing bass notes mostly on beats 1 and 3. So I'm basically playing half notes with my left hand, and I'm either playing the root note of the chord or the 5th of the chord. There are other embellishments we can add in, but that's a great place to start. And even just doing that with your left hand underneath the melody with good rhythm can make for a great arrangement. And for all of those other kind of idiomatic embellishments with that style of bass line, your best source is going to be listening to great bass players in that style. My personal favorite is Ray Brown. So we've covered the bass. Now let's address this quarter note pulse that in a traditional swing rhythm section would often be covered by the guitar, like a Freddie Green style quarter note pulse. Freddie Green was the guitarist for Count Basie's big band. And most swing drum patterns also are more or less keeping a quarter note pulse, sometimes with a slight emphasis on beats 2 and 4 of the measure. So for this, you can pick any voicing you're comfortable with. You could just do root position to start with. You can also just play the 3rd and 7th of each chord and look for good inversions of those 3rds and 7ths. Inversions of the straight 7th chords work, or rootless voicings with added extensions. Any of the above can work. The really important thing is the quarter note pulse. So you want to pick the voicings you like, and then just practice playing quarter notes. Maybe with that slight emphasis on beats 2 and 4. And then you can get a lot out of just practicing putting that with the melody. For that style of quarter note pulse in your left hand, again, a great reference is Freddie Green. You can listen for the guitar in the Count Basie rhythm section, or Errol Garner is a pianist who's famous for using this kind of quarter note style chord in his left hand. Now we're going to put step 1 and step 2 together. So beat 1 and 3 belong to the bass. Beats 2 and 4 belong to this chord in the middle register of the piano. And the difficulty here mostly comes from the leaps you have to make in your left hand. So you can start with smaller leaps. Bring your bass line a little bit higher in the piano, so you don't have to go quite as far to reach the chord. Sometimes we call that baby stride. Everything's closer together. Even with baby stride, it's going to take a lot of practice to put this together with the melody of a song. But you start to really get this sound of stride piano, the characteristic pa, pa. Now, as I said, this is just an introduction. We're really just scratching the surface of a host of techniques that belong to this bigger category of stride piano, as exemplified by historical stride pianists like Art Tatum or Fats Waller. And it's really the most difficult style of solo piano to play swing jazz songs at the piano. But it's also the most rewarding because you can get such a complete sounding arrangement in this style of piano. If you are a jazz piano student and this is something you really want to dig into, I have an exciting announcement for you. A friend of mine named Jacob Mann is an incredible jazz pianist. He and I have known each other for a long time. We went to school together. And he's been doing a series for a while where he posts a stride piano arrangement to his Instagram once a week. So kind of due to popular demand from that series, he and I have been working on putting together a stride piano online course where Jacob goes into depth on his thinking for 5 of his own stride piano arrangements and uses each of those arrangements as a lens to teach you a concept associated with stride piano. Jacob is the one teaching on camera, but I helped him with the pedagogy element from my teaching experience, and I also helped him with production. So you'll see it was filmed here in my studio. We had a lot of fun putting the course together, and Jacob's really funny, along with being a great musician and teacher. So if you're interested in stride piano, I think you'll really enjoy it. I highly recommend it, and you can check out the link in this video description. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me for this introduction to stride piano, one of my favorite styles to play at the piano. My name is Ted with Piano Fluency.